Oh, here we are again. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan and Tim, for
Hey, hey.
it's my first time being here in a couple months. I know you guys did a show in December just to keep the wheels on, but it's good to be back. How you guys doing?
I'm
Doing
good.
fantastic.
Oh, we spoke at the same
Feeling
time. I'll just
good?
go.
Go ahead,
Oh
buddy.
no, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's cold here. It's very cold. We're covered in ice everywhere still from the snow. But other than that, like things are going really well. Kids are finally back in school after being out for forever. So I'm actually able to get some stuff done now. And then pulling my house back together piece by piece.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, I just want to say,
Mhm.
Ryan, I'm really sorry that it's so cold out there, and I will not tell you what color shorts I'll be wearing this afternoon to walk the dogs. I won't mention anything about that.
Oh my
What's up
gosh,
with
thanks,
you,
Tim.
Josh? Josh, any new changes since the last show? Any significant changes in your life you want to talk
Well,
about?
I did. I took the last 2 months off because of the new baby, which is the biggest change. And so, other than that, just grinding me down to the bone on a daily basis. Nothing new really. Just
That's a
living the
lot.
dream over here.
That's
What's that?
something new. That's something new.
Definitely
That's something
something new.
new.
There's a lot new going on. I could spend the next hour talking about all the new stuff going on. But what's been nice about taking some time off to take care of a new human is I've gotten to watch a lot of football, and it's been nice. And I tell you what's been really nice because to be honest with you, the NFL games so far, wild card weekend, were not many of them were very competitive. But that college
Really?
playoff
Yeah,
has been nice. You guys been watching?
it really
Yeah.
has.
I've been watching the
Yeah,
I like
watch.
college a lot more than NFL now.
Hmm.
Well, basically since the Rams left St. Louis, I cared for a while, like I care for fantasy sports purposes, but I honestly don't care about the outcomes of any games other than as long as it doesn't relate to my team.
Yeah.
I used to be a huge fan. I used to take off when I was younger, take off the
Yeah.
weekend when I worked when I was young, high school, college, and I worked at restaurants. Take off the
Right.
weekend for the NFL draft, so I could watch
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah, I was that big of an NFL fan, and I did research.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to memorize when I was a little kid. I would
Yeah.
memorize the rushing leaders every year. But
Hmm.
now, after they left, I just can't get into it as much.
See, I don't know. I don't, I know what you mean. It's hard when you don't have like a team that you're like super hardcore about, like Tim and the Patriots. But I
Right.
still like on a Saturday, like it's got to be kind of like a marquee game for me to actually care about it. Because like if I turn on the TV and it's like, Florida State against, North Carolina or something, I'm like, I really don't care about this at all. But the playoff has been a much different story. And I like watching Mizzou too. Watching Mizzou's been
Yeah.
a good, they've been a good brand of college ball for a couple of years now. Now, North Carolina, on the other hand, is going to be good to watch coming up because
Because of
obviously they've
Hoodie?
got a new head coach. Tim,
Yep.
very familiar
Yeah.
with this situation. What do you think about that,
Well,
Tim?
I have one word of advice. If games aren't interesting,
Ugh.
gamble. That always makes it, you can watch the worst 16-point spread and it's a 20-point game. You're like, I'm within one score of winning this game.
Right.
It's so
That's
that's
true.
that.
I can't get myself to gamble on sports like that just because, other than fantasy stuff and anything that's small, mainly because I have a lot of friends I watched football with for a long time, and they just became not that much fun to watch with because they were so stressed out by
Oh,
overextending
yeah.
themselves, betting on every game kind of thing. And
Oh, see, that's yeah. No,
I
I'm not
just,
talking about that. We just have a $50 a week NFL entry for 18 weeks, and we pay out at the end of the year
Oh,
10
nice.
guys. So there's a first and second place, 300 for first, 100 for second, and then the bottom eight pay the $50 each to those guys. But we keep it all, like, if you will, on Excel. The end of the year in January, we pay out.
how does
So,
that work? So
and it's
you just pick
we've
up
been doing
bet
it.
on every game, and the people with the best record at the end win, or what's?
Yeah, it's on a website, and it's all versus the spread. So every game as well. Not only is it versus the spread, but there's no 7-point spreads. It's all half points, so we can't have ties. And then if there's a tie on Monday, then comes down to, of course, winning the game and
Mm.
points. So So it's awesome, man. We've been doing this since the '90s and running this pool, and it's just a
Nice.
effing blast. I love it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's a good time to watch football for sure. And Patriots got a new head coach. We can't skip over that. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, very excited. Three-time NFL Super Bowl champion Mike Vrabel. Very
Yeah.
excited. And I have a fun stat for all our viewers out there. Does anybody know that Mike Vrabel has arguably the greatest NFL stat line in history?
No.
Anybody know anything about it? He's a linebacker. He is the great. This is a cool stat. He had 12 receptions as a Patriot, all 12 for touchdowns, and two
Oh.
of the touchdowns were in the Super Bowl. 12 catches,
That's pretty cool.
12 touchdowns. Isn't that a cool stat? They used to bring
Right.
him in on trick plays.
Oh yeah,
and
they
all
put him
that
in a
stuff.
fullback, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put him in a fullback, and he caught so many amazing touchdowns over the years. So yeah, it's a fun
People
stat.
just-
You know, I mean, who else has 12 touchdowns in history?
Teams aren't giving these head coaches a chance anymore. If there's somebody else better out there, like it reminds me of what the Blues did with their new coach, who they gave he got less than a full season. If you add half of last year and then the first couple months of this season before they fired him because somebody better came available. Yeah, I mean, it's oh wait, there's somebody here. Well, we gave this guy the job 6 months ago, but now this other guy is here and he looks better. Let's just get rid of this other guy, bring in this other guy. You know.
Well, I've got a great stat line on that. So this year, when the Raiders are hiring a new coach and GM, Mark Davis, with the ultimate haircut, will be paying this football season 4 head coaches and 3 general managers on salary.
Oh yeah, dead cap space kind of thing, like people that they hired and fired.
No. Well, there's no cap space
know,
with
but
coaches,
yeah.
so they just blow through.
I know that. So those are people that
Yeah, so
signed
he's
long-term
paying 4
contracts and
coaches.
they're all still getting paid, but they're not there anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Correct. So he's paying 4 head coaches and 3 general managers. Never in history has anything like that happened.
Yeah, they got to get it together.
It's wild how these contracts are structured and how great it must be. I mean, the job is stressful to be a coach, but especially in college, they have these massive buyouts, right? Okay, sign an 8-year deal. If we fire you 3 years in, we owe you 80% of that deal or something. So they'll be they'll get $10 million a year. So it's we owe you $75 million.
I'm thinking about getting into coaching.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. Some of these coaches, I would not be shocked if they're please fire me. I could just be done with anything ever. I don't have to do a single. And it's not like if you get hired again that you don't get that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just get the money. And
Yeah.
so all these coaches have to do to be set for the rest of their lives. Now they're making money anyway. Is you hit one big contract and you're good.
Yeah.
You get no matter if you do a bad job.
Well, something's gone wrong with the system though, with this whole NIL thing and everything else, and compensation in college football in general. With Carson Beck's going to get paid $4 million to go play at Miami for 1 year.
Yeah,
He could go into the NFL and make less than that for a few years. That doesn't make any sense.
What's wild about it is I don't know how you change it, to be honest. You can't just because it's going to be you're going to lose anything in the courts but saying okay, you can no longer make money. And you can't, and since the money's not coming from the school, you can't really cap it. Right? You can't say okay, you're not allowed to take X amount of money from someone. Because it's not the money's not, it's not because the schools would all have to agree that, and it's usually with collective bargaining like they do in every sports league.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you fix it or how you change it without telling people they're just not allowed to make money because it makes the game less fun.
And they're moving around too. They should though be able to say you can only go into that transfer portal one time, or let's create some guardrails so that every year you're who are these people on this team now?
The only way they're going to be able to change that, I think, is with now that they're having the revenue share with the players. So schools can spend up to $20 million of revenue share with their team, with their players. If they start doing contracts, I could see that stopping the transfer portal. But the argument to allow the unlimited transfers is that any student is allowed to. There's no other
Right.
club or something that you have to sit out a year if you transfer, other than like sports. So like we're
Yeah.
being treated unfairly compared to other students,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
students on scholarships. So it's like, how do
Yeah.
you? I think they're gonna have to build in like some sort of contracts, or like where you
Something.
sign to a school and you're like you have to be there for 2 years or
Mhm.
something. Or the players are gonna have to like have some sort of union and do some sort of
Yeah.
collective bargaining where they both sides agree.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Moving on to something we know more about than sports contracts in the world of business, there's a lot that we have to cover today, including changes on LinkedIn, marketing predictions for the year. There's a state of prospecting report out there. There's a lot going on to get to today. So let's dive into it. One thing, high level, I was interested to see U.S. Small Business Optimism Index is at the highest level in just over 6 years. Highest level. So there's this thing called the National Federation of Independent Business, and they have a Small Business Optimism Index, and it is at the highest level since October of 2018. So it's good to see that people are feeling good about themselves and their prospects for growing their businesses out there. And I will say that generally speaking, I was like thinking about it and I was like, yeah, it does seem like there's not a lot of bad news right now in the business world for small businesses and such. So I think that was really that was good to see. Now, juxtaposed against that, I saw in the Wall Street Journal something that was really surprising to me. That said angel investing, the value of angel investing deals in the United States fell 64% over the last 8 years. From 2015 to
Wow.
now, it's down to 400 million a year, which if it fell 64%, let's just say that it used to be around a billion a year and now it's 400 million. I'm like, really? That can't be. Like, that just doesn't make sense that like maybe there's like they're calling it something different now or something, you know?
The one thing I could see being true with that
Yeah.
is if a bunch of tech companies were or a bunch of investments were
Mhm.
made
Yeah.
over the last, what did it say, 18 years?
Yeah.
That
Well,
that was that ended
8
up,
years,
or 8 years that
2015.
ended up not
Yeah.
panning out, and so they're pumping the brakes on that. Like if a bunch of money was lost.
Well, you look at like what counts as angel investing. Like for people like us, well, the kind of money we would put into something that you would consider an angel investment is obviously much smaller than like the VC guys in Silicon Valley who are putting lots of money out there and all sorts of things. But typically, those kinds of like angel investments end up being the kinds of things that like 1 or 2 out of 10 end up being a home run, and those make up for the others that don't make it, because angel investing is like you're getting in really early, and it's like the riskiest kind of investing you can do, basically, right? And so I would say that it could be the case that like I'm not out there raising money for anything right now, so I don't really know firsthand, but it could be the case that maybe people got burned enough times that like the mom and pop investors, people like us maybe, are like, I'm not doing that anymore, because you don't hear about it as much. I will say that.
I do know that I have a client who is like a mid-market strategy consultant. And he's formerly at like Bain and Company, the massive consulting firm that works with like massive companies. So part of that is like, been doing some research with him on some things. Like we talked about that because he deals with a lot of mergers, like mergers and acquisitions and investment companies. There's like apparently this massive gap currently, and this is like backed by like Bain and Company's like report. They have like a mid-year M&A report every year that I remember reading. It's like there's a huge gap between like valuations, like how businesses are being valuated and like what actual investors value them at.
Mm.
So there's like a waiting game currently for valuations to like either go up so people are more willing to sell, or go down so investors are more willing to invest or acquire businesses,
Mm.
or acquire at least parts of businesses. And so that could be it. Like if that to me, that like that stat, I can't remember the whole thing. I actually read the whole report, which is a slog because I'm not an angel investor, but
Yeah.
that to me it just screams that there are a bunch of misaligned deals that that went through, and it is people getting burned. There's like being more careful with what they invest in.
Is that a common thing in the angel investing? Because I've never heard that term until this. Is that a common thing where people get burned?
Oh yeah, like 80% of the time it doesn't work out because you're investing in like seed level companies, basically very small businesses, and that can mean different things too. But yeah, a lot of those companies are trying to make it. They're out there. Maybe they're raising $1 million or something, to create something, and they don't even have anything yet. Like they're building their product for the first time, and it's like not even really tested in the marketplace. And there's varying degrees of that though. But,
Well, they just have a cool concept. Like you get burned if you invest millions and millions of dollars in a bunch of businesses that fail, but you hit one Netflix.
Yeah.
And it like it more than pays for all of your failures. So I think it was a numbers game, and finding the right people. But
there's a lot of stuff like that. In the tech world, it's very common, but I mean, I'm really a much bigger fan of investing in just traditional Main Street kinds of businesses these days. Like I'm involved in a trucking company, for example. And to me, that is, if you deals like that, you can look at, and you're not going to get some sort of crazy return on your money, which is what people hope for investing in little tiny tech companies that maybe will someday turn into the next Uber. But you get a reasonable return that is, if the company grows a little bit, and then you can, have an even better return than the markets. But, they're like they're safer in a sense, is probably what I would say, more conservative play. Cause if you invest in a trucking company that's doing 5 million a year in revenue or something like that, like it's probably pretty stable. They got an operation, they got business coming in. There's probably not going to just, fail in the next year, which tech companies, you never know.
And they're not going to it's not like intellectual property that's going to get used by someone else. You know what I mean? So it's like invest in a tech company that has a good idea, but all of a sudden, some massive, a tech brand also has that idea and builds it out faster and better. Then it's like, well, that company's kind of,
it's a really competitive space. Yeah.
Did you ever consider finding not like friends of businesses, like small investors? Did you ever consider trying to find someone to give you $30-40 million to grow Connect 365 when we were doing that?
No, I was never really looking at it from that standpoint. I mean, there's a lot of companies that would take that path of let's turn this into $100 million company, which was never really what I was trying to do. Yeah. So, I mean, in growing tech companies, like a lot of the people who are taking on angel money and, going to through the venture capital world, they're selling huge chunks of their company and using that money to fund growth in like a really, really big way. That was never what I was really trying to do. I've always, my personal, where I think I can add value is more in the small business kind of space of, going from a few 100,000 to a few million, 5 million, 10 million, maybe. That's where my experience has been. And that's what I enjoy doing. And then, so trying to take on a huge round of funding to build a much bigger company to turn it into $100 million a year operation like ClickFunnels or something was never on my radar. And also too, because for me, it's I don't know. I don't have the hubris to say that I could do it. And it's just because I didn't want to. Like that would be kind of silly because I've never done it before. So I don't know if I could do it or not, but I also know myself well enough to know that I appreciate having time off, taking off early.
I was just going to say,
putting my whole life
too much
into
stress
it.
for you.
It's just, I mean, there was a time where that might've sounded interesting to me in my life, but that time that ship sailed a long, long time ago. I'm more interested in trying to build a business that works, for my lifestyle and everything than I am just, working constantly and pushing to the moon.
And it's also if you take a bunch of money like that and you try to grow it really quickly without having everything in place,
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of businesses grow the wrong way. Like a good example, there's like an eye care company in St. Louis that is headquartered here. That I have family that works there in the finance, like pretty high up in the finance department, and they're in like 30 states now. So you can look if you guys want to do the digging, you can figure out who it is. But I was having a conversation with him over Christmas and how he sees he actually watches some of these shows, and he like reads the newsletter that I put out. So he's getting my opinion on a couple marketing things that they're doing. But he said their biggest issue that he has, like, as trying to get people to grow that business, is profitability, because
Yeah.
it's all like they have had multiple rounds of funding for
Yeah.
this company, and they just blow money. And so they hire a bunch of people that are like qualified from like their college degree, but don't have any experience. So then they
Yep.
come in here and they just have these ridiculous ideas, and nothing's
Yeah.
really tied to profit. It's tied to like growth. And so like
Yeah.
when they
Idea.
have to try to turn profit on things, it's very difficult. They have to cut people constantly or cut things constantly because they waste so much. There's so much bloat in the business.
Bloat or blow? Because I know they're not wasting the blow.
No one's wasting the blow, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No one's
That's-
wasting the blow. That's
not
maybe
going
how
away.
if they had a bunch of blow in the business, maybe they'd be more profitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
that
So,
way.
anyways, I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. It kind of knocked me out of my seat
Yeah.
when I saw it. No, not really, but I just thought it was interesting. And so, some other stuff going on that is interesting in our business this week. For anybody who's following our messages on Substack or my newsletter or any of that stuff, we've been talking about adding a new income stream using Rob Goyette's model that he calls laser coaching, which is pretty cool. So if you are looking for a new income stream, revenue stream, anything like that, and would like to add on coaching or consulting to your business, check out what we're doing with that. It's pretty simple framework. Of course, as with most of this stuff, Rob has a program if you want to work with him to figure out how to bolt it onto your business. But it makes sense for a lot of people. Of course, if you're already doing coaching or consulting, this makes perfect sense for you because it's kind of a new and different way that you can offer coaching and consulting. Kind of as a downsell, maybe for people who aren't ready to move forward with your higher price program. This is a more lower price program. Read all about it in the report. Today we sent out a message on Substack too that has a link to a really short webinar, which is only a half hour long, which I like. Most webinars should be a half hour long, but they end up being 2.5 hours.
Ours got real long. Ours got real long.
I will say
We've never done that though. No.
Yeah, we had some that like, there was a time there where we were struggling to get them down.
Yeah.
But they
Well,
were good.
You know, it's sometimes you need a lot of time, and then there's some things where it's like, let's just make it short. You don't need so much time to, get to the point. And this is one of those. So that's great. It makes it easy to learn about it. So whether or not you are already doing coaching or consulting, if you want to add a new income stream and diversify a little bit, take a look at that.
You can check it out. There's a link there.
Yep.
That you can go to. There's the write up on it. One other thing that I'll add, Josh mentioned, like if you're already doing coaching consulting, this is perfect. I also think it's very perfect if you're considering getting into coaching consulting. I'm not going to spoil Rob will explain it better than me. I don't want to like half-ass explaining it, but it involves like a really nice structured way to get into consulting without a lot of the stress of needing to have these like, long, huge consulting meetings or workshops or multi-day things. It's a multi-day, like, not at retreat, but like, where you're meeting in person, doing these crazy things. It's a really nice scalable system. Because we've known Rob for, I don't know, a long time. So I'm pretty familiar with what he talks about in his system. And I think it's really smart.
And Rob, I think I mentioned in one of my messages, Rob's been a great supporter of my work and our companies in the past. And so I like to spread the word about what he's doing too. And so this is some cool stuff that he's doing. It's worked really well for him and a bunch of his clients. And so we're just kind of paying it back and paying it forward, if you will. And recommending that anybody that's interested in this check that out. And also, we're putting together a little offer for anyone who does sign up for his premium program to work with him, which I think is like $997, I think. I'm putting together a package of some of our trainings, some of the private client work that we've done, and I'm going to be giving that to anyone that joins Rob's program. I think the total value, if you add it all up, is like $8,000. But we're going to give that to everybody who signs up with Rob for free. And I haven't announced that yet, so keep it between just us. But that will be, that'll be coming out on, I think, Saturday. We have the details of that coming out.
Yeah. So it'll be announced on Saturday, Tim. It wasn't announced just now.
No.
That's true. Hey, I just want to say I've worked with Rob a little bit, been on a couple of one-on-one calls. That guy is the shit. He is
I
so
like him
smart.
too. He's cool.
He is so incredible. He's just great, and he's just what I like. And I'll say this about you too as well, just full of integrity. So if you really are thinking about it, I mean, this guy is, great person to work with, and his clients have a lot of success, the ones that put in the work. I would say Rob is in my, if you will, top 5 all time in this industry as far as
he is. He's a good dude. I've hung out with him in person a bunch of times, whenever he comes to St. Louis, because he actually has some family here. We usually meet up for lunch whenever he's in town. He's normally in Puerto Rico, but
oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
My guess is he's funny as hell in person. Would that be fair to say?
I wouldn't call him like a comedian necessarily, but I enjoy his company.
Cool. He was funny.
Oh, was he? Nice. Oh, that's great. Well, yeah, he has a good sense of humor for sure. But yeah, and his clients love him. I mean, he's got a kind of a raving base of followers and clients that just love him to death for obvious reasons. So check all that stuff out, and if it's a good fit for you, you're in good hands with Rob. And I mean, honestly, just you'll learn a lot just from reading through his report and checking out the webinar too, even if you don't sign up. So that is that, and we'll have more on that over the rest of the week. Tim, I want to talk about some of these LinkedIn changes that you've brought to our attention this week. Looks like LinkedIn's got some stuff in the works, huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of changes, it looks like, so far in 2025. Well, what's happening, but I highlighted, at least on my notes here, you can't see them, but I highlighted a couple things that I thought were just really interesting and kind of a certain part of LinkedIn flipping it on its head, if you will. So they are basically saying promoted company content this year has increased to 28% of the feed. So this is company content, and just a couple of years ago, let me look at this, 4 years ago, it was only 16% of the feed. So basically company content is almost doubled on LinkedIn. So if you have company content, this is a great time to get it out there, because it has doubled on LinkedIn, or almost doubled from 4 years ago. So on the other hand, organic content that's basically not promoted has decreased from 57% down to 28%. So that has been cut in half. So basically, the small content creators are going to have to do different things to get their message out there. But I thought it was I'd be curious, Josh, on your insight, what you think is the reason behind this shift of company content versus smaller content creators.
Well, this is a lot of the same stuff that we saw from Facebook a few years ago, where companies had their reach throttled immensely. You used to, on Facebook, if you had a company page or whatever they call it, a business page on Facebook, you used to be able to post something, and most of the people who have liked your page would see it in their feed. And then some number of years ago, it's been a long time now, they changed that to where you got basically no reach organically, and that you would have to, pay to reach your followers. To me, this seems like just the same kind of a move in that direction as far as companies go. And then also with just your run-of-the-mill people like us, it's basically saying, like, when they say organic content from non-promoted creators decreased from 57 to 28%. It's like you're getting them. If you're just going on LinkedIn and posting updates, it's going to be seen by a lot less people than it used to be, unless you're getting really smart about how you do it. Ryan knows a lot more about it than I do, though.
Yeah, I have some, especially about I agree with you on the company page thing. I think they're,
yeah, it's the same thing.
They're probably boosting it up in the algorithm currently to prepare to get more people to do ads, in terms of like if organic company page content is getting better reach currently, they're probably just trying to encourage more people to put effort there before they eventually pull it away and make you run a bunch of ads. But the important one to me is the organic content from non-promoted creators has decreased from 57% to 28%. I think there's a couple things with that. Number one, they recently, over the last year, they introduced thought leader ads into their platform, and that is ads to a personal profile. So, and it could be like, for example, like Connect 365, we could run a thought leader ad from Josh Turner's profile because he's the CEO and face of company. Or if, let's just say, Rob Goyette, since we're talking about him, had some really nice things to say about Connect 365 on the platform, then you could run a thought leader ad to, they don't have to work for you. You could have like influencers essentially post about your product and then run ads to boost that post with them, as almost as like a partnership. Right. And so I have a feeling that that's what's happening here, is they really want people to start running thought leader ads to their organic content that they're currently posting. Because
so these are ads they would pay for. When you say thought leader ads, advertising that they're actually paying for.
Yeah, like, so for example, I love Canva, the design app. If I got on LinkedIn, and posted a long post being like, here's 5 reasons I love Canva and you need to use it in your business, and Canva saw that, they could run ads to my post, even though I don't work there, I have no affiliation with them. I'd have to approve it. So I'd have to like allow them to do that. You can't just like hijack people's posts to boost it, but they could reach out and for the and what they might have to do is, for some of the bigger like influencers, if you will, in the business, in whatever space on LinkedIn that you're involved in, you might have to give them money to approve it, but they could promote that. So it'd be like almost like social proof, but an ad for their product. So yeah, it's basically, normally the ads all on LinkedIn are company pages. This is a way to like promote personal profile pages. And I think also like there is a way to be, Josh, you mentioned being smart about it. I think there is, because my feed still has a lot of organic content in there, but it's really driven on posts with very high engagement. Like, I think you're going to need to do what a lot of the, like, I don't know, like LinkedIn organic, like content marketing people out there are talking about. You need to be commenting on people's posts. You need to be replying to comments on yours to kind of get yourself in front of the most people. And then you need to like really get yourself in front of the most people. Then you really need to structure your post to drive engagement for yourself. Because every time someone likes or comments on there, it shows to their audience. Half of my feed is like, so-and-so thought this post was insightful, because there's that option. Or, Carl commented on this post, or Tanner commented on this post. It's like half.
Yeah.
So I think you'll still see that. But if you're just out there posting and not engaging with anyone else, then it's probably going to be a dead zone.
It is. It is a whole.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It also says in the article too, which I thought was interesting, people who just post something that is non-business. To give you an example, there's people I follow that do surveys a lot, including yourself, Ryan. But some people do surveys that are just, that maybe 3 out of the 4 of them are business. And one of them could be something silly like, what are your plans for the weekend? What's your favorite drink on a Friday afternoon? Blah, 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 blah. Those things are going to be pushed back and not be prevalent too much anymore on LinkedIn as well. So they're kind of taking out the non-business. I think they're going mostly business, I guess I could say, right?
They are indeed. Yeah. So here's my take on it. There's a lot that can be done if you want to put in the time. It's the process now for getting a lot of reach and engagement clicks, all that from the homepage feed on LinkedIn is going to take a lot of time and energy of really pumping out a lot of content, being really engaged, and so for
Yeah.
me personally right now, I'm not personally wanting to put in that time at this point. So I'm not expecting to get much out of the feed when stuff gets posted on there. Really at this point, relying on assets built over the years with the, like the marketing minute and all the followers that I already have on LinkedIn that can be reached and such. And so that's why
Sure.
for so many of our clients right now, I know they're in the same boat. They're like, there's all this content out there, like Ryan's showing, that you can look into. There's a lot of experts teaching this stuff now of like how to dominate the LinkedIn feed and get all sorts of, engagement and results and followers and, the life of your dreams. And probably a lot of that is good and works well if you put in the work. I know a lot of our clients don't want to put in that work though. They got a lot of other stuff they're doing. It seems like kind of a nebulous thing, hard to get your arms around it. People are like, I'm not going to do all that, for better or worse. Some are, but most of our clients are not. And that's why I'm still very bullish on building smaller communities, which means direct
Absolutely.
prospecting and building your connections with targeted prospects. And then becoming known to those people through messaging behind the scenes. They're going to see some of your stuff that you post, but it's not the main part of the strategy. And then for some of our clients,
Sure.
Creating a LinkedIn group can be a part of that strategy, things like that. But it's really the power of, what can you do if you can, we don't need 1,000 likes on every post. We need like 1,000 prospects that you can nurture. And if you can find like 1,000 really great prospects and just keep nurturing those people over time, you're going to get some great clients out of it. That for most people, that's where the real value is going to be. Now, marketers like Ryan get all excited about the other stuff. And so don't let me poo-poo you on this, Ryan.
Sorry, I was muted because I was coughing a second ago. But no, yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, no, I get excited about all the new changes. I do like the thought leader ads, though. I think they're a cool idea for it to help, especially for brands that want to push influencer marketing. If you could have somebody, or like if you have, we did similar stuff. Like if we had launches on Facebook ads, but we'd have to go through the whole process of connecting our ad account with their business, and run ads from their profile, that kind of thing, and offer to help for like partnerships. But being able to find anytime people are saying nice things about you, like promote it, even if it's a light ad spend for larger companies, is probably huge.
Yep. Nice. All right, let's do one more business thing, and then let's get to the stuff we really want to talk about, which is music and wine. Last business thing.
All right.
Last business thing for the day. Ryan, I wanted to see, I believe this was from you, this SoPro State of Prospecting 2025 report. I'm interested to see if there's any good information in there that people can pull some takeaways from for their
hold on, let me pull this up.
Lead gen efforts.
So here's the report, and I don't really know SoPros that well. Like, they I don't know. They seem to be some sort of agency, right? So, but I found this thing, and I thought it was interesting because it kind of part of it's because it backs up what I think as well. But it's the state of prospecting. It's 50 pages. They insights from 404 senior B2B decision makers, and 100 million emails, in a bunch of touch points. But I thought it was interesting because this is something that I know Josh and I have been talking about for years. And when I would talk to Pat about marketing, he was on the same page with it too. That I'm really my view of it is as digital channels there's just so many of them now. Back 15 years ago, they were pretty siloed, right? It was like Facebook, there were a handful that were huge. Now it's a lot more fragmented, and because of stuff like that for digital marketing, buyer journeys are becoming a lot more complex. There's content everywhere. So what this report says, I'm just going to go through the key findings, is longer sales, buyer journeys are more complex, longer sales cycles, larger buying committees, which is more, more decision makers involved. This is probably for larger businesses. And fiercer competition means businesses must adapt their strategies to align with today's buyer journeys.
This
Engage
is
the
all
right.
stuff people have been saying for a long time, though. None of these things are like new ideas of like, multi-channel is now essential.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I do think it's more important than it has been in the past. But the one thing that
we were saying that we've been in our webinars 3-4 years ago, we were talking about that with linked selling, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
And we
part of
ain't
it
shit.
that I like the personalization, timing, and relevance. It really ties into like what you just said about having smaller communities. I think like
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that's going to happen over the year, and this, I don't have all the stats. I like skimmed
Yeah.
through this, right?
Yeah.
I don't
this
have all the
could be
stats.
like a sales deck for linked selling.
Yeah, it's very similar to what we did because it's
Yeah.
like LinkedIn marketing, email, and then targeted ads, and they have other things too, and they have a lot of like data stuff involved in it too. But what I think is interesting, and it's not necessarily a key insight from this, but kind of what ties into this point number 4 is the idea of like really dialing in on micro like niches or niches, if that's how you want to say it, but dialing in on having smaller communities, because I do think that growing a following on a specific social media platform like LinkedIn, like we just talked about, or Instagram or Facebook or X or Threads or Blue Sky, whatever, is going to be really difficult if you're trying to actually put out real content instead of just like mindless memes or funny videos or something. It's going to be very difficult to grow a following in one of these places. So having using those platforms to create like little micro communities of people that really listen to you and focusing on quality instead of just copying and pasting AI into social media or into a blog post directly without like, you can use AI, but like just instead of just like getting vague shit and posting it, I think is going to be important, and adding personality into the mix and letting people know a little bit more about who you are. So you're not just another face talking about the same topic that 50,000 other people are in a vague way. So, but yeah,
Sure.
I mean, like, I don't have a huge insight from it. I do think they laid out a decent. It's worth checking out if you want to go find the Soros thing. I honestly, I lost my notes. I had some notes on the specific things that I like, but I agree with them that it's becoming more and more important. And but you're right, it's not anything new. This has been going this way for years.
What's this company selling?
The same shit we did.
Oh, they're an agency.
Yeah, I think so.
I
didn't look into it that much. I just kind of like it's the context.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of new stuff here for everybody. So we'll issue an apology and we'll make sure we do a little more due diligence on anything Ryan submits for the show.
No, it's an interesting read. It's backed up with a lot of data, but the core points back. I guess the main reason I found it interesting is because it like agreed with everything that I believe.
Yeah. So I think the big thing.
Are you considering writing him up, Josh? Are you considering writing him up?
I would, but I'm all out of my
this,
write-up forms. I've
in
had to
your
write
office?
them up so many times already that I need to order new forms. It's getting
Yeah, we'll contact human
Yeah, I'm a
resources
habitual
about the
line stepper.
situation. And
yeah.
I do have a question to you, Ryan. What did they say in there? They said multiple channel prospecting. Obviously, LinkedIn's going to be number one. Do they give a suggestion of a second prospecting?
Yeah, I mean,
place?
it's a combination of a couple
Rumble.
of things. It's all the stuff that we've been talking about forever. I mean, I think we at Link Selling and Connector 65 had the right mix, right? There's like email. Link Selling was big on, I don't know their exact process now, but like SDR, so phone calls, but in the right way, not just cold calling. LinkedIn prospecting, email outreach, have proper follow-up channels, and then ads, supplemental material for staying top of mind, staying in front of people, and brand building, and also lead generation. But that's kind of what it, like in a perfect world, that's what if I had money, like if I was talking to somebody that had a decent amount of budget that wanted to spend, that's what I'd tell them to do. Do email outreach, do LinkedIn outreach, and then build everything, build massive retargeting pools of whether they're data, like what the context that you have.
Yeah.
Or website data and then retarget them on as many social media platforms as makes sense.
Yeah, you got to find a way to get people in the door that's about more than just, hey, can I tell you about my product? Now, if you're a big company and you've got an army of SDRs and BDRs or whatever you call them, salespeople, prospecting, lining up demos and stuff, like, it is a numbers game, and you kind of just have to hit people with a lot of, do you want to hear about my product? But for smaller businesses, like I still, with the same thing we've been doing for so many years is, help figure out a more creative way to get and make an introduction to a prospect that's not just, here, let me tell you about my product, but more like building communities, coming up with unique angles for LinkedIn groups, have a prospect where you invite people to be a guest on, start a conference in your industry that you're going to be the head of the conference and, the facilitator and when inviting everyone and putting it together, like all these, there's, those kinds of things. And then when you're reaching out to people, you have something to tell them about that they're going to be a lot more interested in, and you'll get a lot more, respect from people, but just a much higher response rate of people who are open to starting to build a relationship with you. And then eventually you'll get to tell them about what you do. And, I like it. And I think I think it's more fun. I think it's more engaging. It's more work, but it's better results long-term, and if you're going to do content marketing anyways, if you're going to have some marketing going on in your business anyways, then why not do it? And then you're kind of integrating your prospecting and your marketing together at that point, in a sense. So
cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for a long, long time. And it seems to work for most people. So with that,
I'm sensing it's wine time.
What's that?
I'm sensing it's wine time now, isn't it?
Well, we got a song of the day on here. Blueburst Executioner song. I'm guessing this is one of Tim's. Tim, is this yours?
Yeah, this is mine. I believe I actually sent this to you over the break, Josh. This is a band I just accidentally discovered, actually through Instagram. Oddly enough, Instagram knows what I like and sends me numerous cool bands all the time now that I end up going on a Spotify playing with. This is one the past couple of weeks I haven't stopped listening to. The whole album I think is great, and I will give full disclosure that I think they're I don't know if it's a bad thing, but I think they are giving a huge nod to REM when you listen to this band. So, and by the way, I'm gonna divert here for a second, Josh. There was a big music announcement that came across my phone you would be interested in the New Orleans Jazz Festival, Saturday, May 3rd. Your beloved band Pearl Jam is just announced headlining there. So I wanted to break something live that I know all of our viewers will be very excited about. So I want to let you know about that. Now let's go to Blueburst. This is called Executioner song. This song's from last year. It's their only album they have. And if you like early REM, I think you're going to really enjoy this. So.
Everyone gather round now to watch me die.
So
Did you
I
see
like it, Tim. I
Yeah.
think it's good. I do see the REM Michael Stipe. That sounds like him for sure.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like him.
It does.
Yeah.
I could see these guys covering like "Lose Your Religion" live or something like that. I'm a big I'm a huge REM fan, especially. Actually, I liked all their stuff. I should say just the early
Yeah.
stuff. I really enjoyed them, and this was a great nod to them. So
It does.
it was
It
fun to
sounds
share.
like an
I was
REM
gonna,
cover band, kind of, which is what kind of makes it hard for me to get too
yeah,
excited about it because I'm like, I feel like I've heard this before so many times. You know what I mean? But a
yeah.
nice
I
sounding band.
been calling you cool,
When was
cool. I think the
REM's
cover's
like
kind of
heyday?
cool
I know
too.
REM songs, but I've never like when was REM's like heyday? Like when were they the
Their heyday. I mean, they started. I think their first record was like '83, Murmur, which oddly enough I listened to yesterday. I would say late '80s into late '90s, and they broke up around I think 2011.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
So
They were together forever though, dude.
it
Actually,
is.
they're fine.
Yeah.
That's ran its course.
Yeah, there's actually three, two members of REM and one side musician from REM that have a new band, and it's called like the Baseball Project or something like that. It's I haven't listened to it, but there is a new side REM project
Yeah.
out as well.
Nice.
That's the music update. Your first one for 2025.
Well, it was a good one, buddy. I appreciate it. And couple quick things on the wine front. I know I always promise everybody that I'll keep you up to date on what I'm doing in the wine world. And so two things I want to talk about today. One, an easy one to throw out there real quick. I'll put this in the chat. So Ryan, if you want to throw it up on the screen, you can. I just one of the more recent purchases I made was Rivers Marie. Once a year, they do their release of their Pinot Noirs, and this is Thomas River Brown's a winemaker, very well known in California from some notable wineries, and this is his label, known for mostly. I think they're known for Pinot, but I think they have Cab and Chardonnay too, and I think they're really top notch. And the cool thing about this is that their entry level, which is their Sonoma Coast Pinot, on their most recent release is $40, which is, I think, quite a deal for what it is. It's really a high-end wine. And it's one of those things where you got to sign up for their email list. They'll send you an email when their wines come out, and then you get an allocation, and they sell out all the time and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even know if you can buy them on the website, but you can do a little research on them. So on the most recent one, they only gave me the option. I could only buy 3 bottles of the Sonoma Coast, and then they gave me the ability to buy a couple bottles each of all the single vineyard stuff, which is all the rest of them. And I picked up a few of those, not too much. So like 6 or 7 bottles I got. But I'm really excited about their Pinots, and these are the kind that can last a long time, but are also good to drink young, which I like. It's a category that I probably have more than I need for a long time of, but there are just some, Oregon and certain areas of California are just making some Pinot right now that is just really outstanding. And for the money, like, I prefer it over red Burgundy at a similar price point. It's just a lot of these are really great values. If you're looking for wine in that price range of anywhere from $40 to $90 or something like that. You guys have?
Do they have a winery out here? Do they have a winery out here?
I don't know where their physical location is. I'm pretty sure they have one somewhere, because it's a pretty big operation. I mean, on the Sonoma, they're making like 1,000 cases of that. I think I saw. Let me go to the email with all the details on that offer. 1,100 cases of their base level Sonoma Coast Pinot. The single vineyard Pinots, a lot of those are like 300 cases, 70 cases, so much smaller production. But so they're producing a pretty decent amount of wine, and then that's just their Pinot release, and then their Chardonnay is coming up soon. They'll have a Cab one too, but they're making really high quality wines in the style that I like, not too big and rich, more precise. Maybe you'd say elegant, but not overly oaky or vanilla or any of that crap. Not overly sweet and cloppy, jammy. I don't like that stuff. So these are the opposite of that. Really good. They're not so elegant though that you're like, what am I drinking? They're really almost perfect. You might say.
I want to try it. I need to come over to your house one time and bring like a decent, what I think is a decent store-bought wine. And you'd be like, no, here's the difference. So I can taste them back side to side.
I mean, there's some decent stuff in the store, but it just depends. I don't think you can buy this.
And it's fun. It's fun to get a winery and learn about it. It's definitely a fun thing.
Yeah. These are good. And so the thing with me is I haven't been buying these for years. I kept hearing people talk about them on the some of the wine forums that I read. And so last year, I bought a couple bottles off of WineBid. WineBid is like a wine auction site. I picked up a couple of bottles for like $50 each that had a little bit of age on them.
Wow.
Because it's hard. If you're buying wine from someone like this, if you're buying direct from the producer, which is great, you're getting wine you can't find anywhere else. It's rarely sold in stores, but it's young. And so sometimes it's not really quite ready to drink yet. You're not getting the real sense of what's the potential of this wine. You're taking a gamble with it. So if you go to winebid.com, I can buy a couple bottles of like a vintage this 8 years ago or something. And then you're getting a bottle that is really ready to drink and in its prime. And then you get a real sense of, is this for me or not? Is this a winery I want to keep buying every year and really build a stockpile of for the long haul? So I bought a couple bottles last year and I was really impressed with them. And so I'm buying more, building that stockpile, homies.
How big is your collection?
I love it.
Point, you think?
How many bottles do I have?
Oh, it's big.
I don't know, 600 or something. I'm not sure. 500, 600. I don't know. I'd have to look in Cellar Tracker and see. Yeah.
So basically, you have enough to get right through to April. Then,
I got
you say, right?
And I open a couple bottles a week, 3 maybe. So I've got some runway for sure. But a lot of these will last a long, long time. That's the point of it. I got a lot of stuff down there that's just going to last forever. And and it's not even ready to drink anytime soon. So ideally, some of it is just going to sit there for 20 years. Which is going to be cool. But yeah, WineBid is a great place to go, because imagine thinking like, imagine getting excited about a winery because you read about it online, and then you start buying some of their wines and you're like, oh, well, they say, you really got to let these sit for a few years before they're really like, starting to hit their stride. And then, so for a few years, you're like buying their wines as they come out. And then like you start to get into them a few years later and you're like, it's not really for me. But now I have like 28 bottles, so I like to dabble first before I dive in.
I was texting Josh over the last week. I bought a bunch of wines from that day. Is it Dana Goche or Gay Negoci? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Day Negos because it's short for negociant, which is a term in French term, English term, but basically for wine broker, essentially negotiant. So I call it Day Negos, but I don't know.
Yeah, so Josh was kind enough to give me like a gift card to there for Christmas, which shout out to Josh for. And then like I don't buy wine from places like that. So that if anyone remembers, I think we talked about it on here before, but it's like they buy a bunch of wine from wineries that like places that either are not going to sell it all or whatever, and then they rebottle it and they relabel it under their own brand and sell it, and then they hype it up as like, and they sell it at a discount. Yeah. So yeah, I bought a case of a Cabernet. Mainly just because we're going to try to like drink one every other year or something. You see, if we can remember, we might not even remember it. It might just taste the same to us, but see if we can notice any differences over the years. So if 12 of the exact same bottle for 2022, how long should I wait? Do you think, Josh?
Well, I mean, what year were the ones that you got?
2022.
2022. You got a
Yeah.
12 pack of this, all the same thing?
Yeah.
Cabs?
Yeah, it's this.
Yeah. Well,
You bought all the same
It's
ones.
like a case.
yeah.
I bought it because I got suckered in by this. Like it's normally, $1 million, $1,500 because apparently they initially sold for 125, or that's what they're listed at. I don't know if they sell well or what.
It'll be good. Yeah. So, I mean, I can do some more specific research and let you know what people are saying about it. But really, if you can find, you said that Mount Brave is, what you thought that it maybe was, then I would
Yeah.
just go on like Seller Tracker and start looking at reviews of Mount Brave and see what people are saying about the 2022.
They don't even sell. You can't. I went to. I think it was that website, or it was Wine Search or something. I don't know. I went to it, so they had reviews on it, and there were no reviews for the Mount Brave 2022, only for the 2021. So my guess is that they overproduced for 2022, and they're not for sale yet, and from the winery, and then they shipped some of it here. I don't know though. I don't know the industry like you do. That was my guess. So I can't even find reviews on this specific year, but all of the reviews for every other year were fire. Like everyone loved the wine.
So
Yeah.
I would say hold it for a little bit, but like open one this year for sure, and then see how it is, and then go off that. I mean, if you love it right now, then just keep drinking them. But if you're like, feels like it's kind of tight, try another one in a year, see where it's at.
I'm gonna bring one over to your house, and we're gonna drink it.
All right.
We can try it out. You can let me know what you think.
Tim's coming too.
Tim's coming too. Then if Tim you come down in the next year, I'll save them for you. We'll drink it together. We'll get Josh all
It's definitely
Josh all buzzed up and make him
It's
give us an
definitely a
expensive bottle of his shit.
Yeah, we'll do it side by side. I'll have to research this one though and see what else should go up against it, because it's to do side by side of some of wine sometimes is like it's apples and oranges. You know what I mean? That's why like a lot.
Yeah, it is, unless it's two cabs.
Yeah.
If it's two of the same grape, I do enjoy it. But if it's comparing a cab
If it's two
to
cabs, yes. If they're
Zin
made in
or
a similar style, yes. But there's cabs that are over here, and there's some that are over in a totally different world in the way they're made and everything. And so, like some of the bigger cabs that are much more bold and fired up are gonna, in a side by side, compare that to something from Bordeaux or something that is like really needs a lot more time. It's really those apples and oranges, same grapes though. All right, guys. Well, good show today. Appreciate you guys. I look forward to the next one.
Us too. See you soon, my friends.